whenever we are launching any kind of attack, whenever we want to learn about ethical hacking or penetration testing, it is very important that we keep in mind that all the attacks should be done in a virtual environment. Because what happens is, when we launch these attacks in our own machine, that is working on a Windows OS or a Linux OS or an Mac OS, you should not attack that machine. In simple words. Because what happens is, you might make some changes accidentally and you will not be able to recover out of it. So what happens is, we should keep in mind that all these attacks are going to damage your system somehow or the other, right? So you should launch all these attacks at a virtual environment, so that if anything wrong happens, you can simply delete that VirtualBox environment and create one again from scratch. It won't matter much. But if you're not using any virtual environment, then it is going to create some issues, because you might accidentally delete some files, you might accidentally reveal some crucial information to the outside world, which you don't want. For that purpose, keeping that in mind, we will launch all the attacks inside a VirtualBox. Now, I prefer Oracle VirtualBox. Many of you might be having VMware. It's fine. They do the same task. So the very first tool that we are going to see is Oracle VirtualBox. I will simply go to the website. VirtualBox runs on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, etc. So the link is this big blue button. Now, as you can see, there are multiple OS support. So you can simply download for Windows, you can download for Mac OS. Windows is simply click on this and the download will begin. So this is the download. I already have it downloaded, so I will not download it once again. So once you download it, simply click on the installer. You don't need to do anything extravagant. You simply need to click on next, 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 and the installation will be done. But what happens with Mac OS? See, now Mac OS has different architectures. It can be Intel based or it can be new silicon chip based, M1, M2, M3. Right, so the M1, M2, M3 architectures are different as compared to the Intel based Mac OS architectures. So this link is for the Mac OS Intel based architecture. I have already shared different links for different architectures, as you can see. So what you need to do is, you simply need to install Oracle VirtualBox. But I have given a better alternative. I will discuss that while we will do Mac OS. Right now, at this moment, we are focused on Windows OS, right? So simply click on this and do the installation. So this is a very straightforward installation of Oracle VirtualBox. You simply need to install it and it will look something like this. If you have installed it properly, you simply go to your search, type Oracle VirtualBox, and this is how it will look like this. Obviously, it will not have these things on the left hand side because this is what I have installed. We are going to install it one by one, so don't worry. So in our case, it will be completely blank if you are doing it from scratch, right? Next step is your Kali virtual machine. So for that, let me go to this page. This is a direct link. If you click directly, the downloading will begin. So if you have downloaded this, the next process is very simple. It will look something like this on your screens. Something like this. Kali Linux 2024 version, VirtualBox AMD 7. Clear? So now let's see how to install this. So what exactly you need to do is simply go to this installer which you have just now downloaded, right click on that and click on extract. Now as I already have this Kali Linux machine installed on my machine, I will give it a different name. In your case, you can keep it same and click on extract. Yeah, so this is the folder which is created. Just now I created this new Kali VirtualBox. So if you double click on that, you will see these two files. Next step is, you simply need to double click on this. I will just explain it once again. When you double click on that file, the VBox file in this case, not the VDI file, and this is how it should look. In your case, it will be only one of the Kali Linux instance on the left hand side, and ideally in default mode it is powered off. On the right hand side, if you select this Kali Linux machine, on the right hand side there are a few tabs, new, add, settings, etc. So click on settings. On the right hand side you can see these options. There are few options which you can change. Right now what we are doing is, we are installing a virtual machine, virtual OS, on our host machine. So I believe right now the host you are using is Windows OS. So inside Windows OS, we are going to install these new operating systems. For instance, over here the operating system is Kali Linux, right? So what we need to do is we are treating this as a completely new OS, which we are installing on top of our Windows OS. So what is happening? Linux is going to be run inside Windows. So we need to specify some amount of RAM which you could use on this virtual machine. Now it totally depends on what kind of a system you are using. If you are using a system which is having 8 GB of RAM, so you have to give some RAM according to that. If you are having a system with 16 GB of RAM, so you can dedicate around 2 GB of RAM to this Kali Linux machine. If you are using 8 GB RAM, you can give 1 GB of RAM to this Kali Linux OS. Because what happens is, out of 8 GB, almost 4 GB will be used by your host machine only, that is your Windows OS. You can give at least 1 GB to Kali Linux machine if you are running on an 8 GB machine. So we have dedicated 2 GB RAM to Kali. Now processor is fine, you can assign or keep it as it is. Now you can do one thing, go to networks. Inside networks, there you will see some options. What I suggest is change this NAT to bridged. Okay, so once all these settings are done, you simply need to select your virtual machine. I already have this virtual machine. Click on start. If everything goes well, it should run without any errors. This is how it will look if it works properly. Yeah, so you should, once if it is installed correctly, you should be able to see this. So default ID and default password both are KALI Kali. So you should be able to see this screen. Obviously the things might be different. I have downloaded few tools. In your case, you will be able to see these 3 icons: trash, file system, home, and it should look like this. If you want to make full screen, you simply double click on the taskbar, or you can go to view and full screen mode. Let's have a look at what Kali Linux is all about and what are the various tools which we are yet to download.